Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Give My Head podcast. I'm Tim McGarry from the Home Wall Gang, joined by my very fine colleague,
Damon Quinn.
We're absolutely delighted to be here, ladies and gentlemen. This is a very special episode, and we want to thank our sponsors. Our sponsors, ladies and gentlemen, are none other than Pug Uglies Bar in Bedford Street, just opposite the BBC. Pug Uglies, which used to be Morrison's, which we frequented, and Pug Uglies is Pug Uglies, which we frequent quite a lot, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, it's our unofficial office.
Unofficial office, just
Has
opposite,
been for many years.
just opposite the BBC, and they're big into the rugby there. It's a great sports bar. It's a fantastic atmosphere in Pug Uglies, but the Ruggers coming up, ladies and gentlemen. We like rugby. Well, I'm not a massive fan of rugby, but I do like the Six Nations. And coming up this week, who are Ireland playing? They're playing Scotland. Kick off 3 p.m. on Sunday the 9th of February. Book a table now at Pug Uglies. Go to hello@puguglies.com or just head to their website, puguglies.com. I can thoroughly recommend this pub. It's a brilliant atmosphere in it. Very well run pub. Very nice atmosphere. You'll love it in Pug Uglies.
Yes, and they've got lots of special offers going, of course. They have, if you for £20, you can get 4 pints of Guinness, and you won't get a better deal than that in the centre of the town.
During all the matches, by the way.
That is during all the matches. That's what you'll get for £20, 4 pints of Guinness. Also, if you say Give My Head podcast, you will also get 20% off your food bill.
So give the...
Which is even better.
20% on the pub grub. The grub in, we can testify it's
yes,
very good in Pug Uglies.
Yeah, particularly that they do a buffalo wrap.
A pug's buffalo wrap
Pug's
and a
buffalo
Sunday
wrap,
roast.
Yes, and a Sunday roast, which is legendary.
So go down to Pug Uglies, get a Sunday roast, get 4 pints of Guinness for 20 quid and say, Give My Head podcast, and you get 20% off. Oh, for goodness sake, we're giving stuff away. We are treating you so well, ladies and gentlemen. So Give My Head podcast, mention it in Pug Uglies, and like the podcast and subscribe. Keep going. Thank you very much to our sponsors, Pug Uglies. You're all very, very welcome. If you haven't been before, where have you been? Feel free to subscribe and catch up on all the past episodes. There are lots of very famous and funny people on the show. There's lots of a few serious people, but there's been lots of crack. I am joined by my comedy colleagues,
Michael McDowell. Damon Quinn.
This is a special episode because we don't have a guest now. That's not because we can't find a guest, because lots of people.
Well, there's Tim now. Come on.
No. People genuinely want to be on. Look, there's a man. See that man who removed the bottle there? So subtle. Oh, see our production team. They are absolutely the best.
They're on the continuity and everything.
They're on the continuity. Thank you very much. But a lot of people were asking us about Give My Head Peace, and I suggested, why don't you do a wee session where we just answer questions from the audience about the Give My Head Peace, and we've asked people online to ask us some questions about Give My Head Peace. So that's what we're going to do on this special episode of the Give My Head podcast. We're going to answer your questions. Who wants to kick off? Dan, do you want to kick off with some of the questions from the... Dan is our brilliant producer, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, at 1L Studios. Fine bunch of gentlemen they are here. Very, very good people who look after us very, very well. And Dan, you were running the email account. We've got a few questions. Do you want us to kick off, or will I kick off?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Go for it, Dan. What have you got?
Tiernan wants to know, are there any memorable events from live shows, perhaps due to mishaps on stage or a rowdy audience?
Tiernan wants to know whether there are any mishaps on stage. We have been doing that stage show for how long now, boys?
Oh, God.
20-something years.
Yes, 20 odd years. No,
we have had, we've been very successful. We were actually on tour again this March, by the way. Give Me a Head Peace Live. We're all over the place. We're in the Grand Opera House at the last week of March. Do you remember the time there was the snow? Do you remember the snow? We were in the Grand Opera House and there was snow.
That's right.
And it was very, very, very heavy snow, and half the audience didn't turn up, but the show went on, and then in the middle of it, I was doing a stand-up bit, and the lights went out. Do you remember that?
Right. Yep.
Literally the lights went out, and there was I was still on stage, and because the Opera House is gorgeous, you could just project. You didn't need a microphone, which was just as well, because everything went out. There were just kind of emergency lights.
That's right.
And I was on stage, and I was thinking, all right, this isn't good when you see two tech guys run down the side of the theatre to the back of the theatre. And because of the heavy snow, for whatever reason, the lights and everything had gone out. And our agent was at the back, and there were people in the theatre going, right, we need to evacuate the theatre.
That's
right.
right.
What did our agent say to these?
Oh, well, he went up now. I have to say, the background to this, of course, is it's not just snow, it's a blizzard.
It's a proper blizzard.
So half the audience arrived and half the audience didn't. But anyway, they're all there.
The show went on.
Every other theatre in Belfast had closed.
Right.
So the Lyric was closed, and all the other big theatres, where the Mac was closed, were all gone. Just us. We were the only ones that were still open. And of course, it's very fortunate that it happened in the middle of your stand-up.
Yes.
I mean, that was extremely, because it wasn't as if
Because I
we were
can
gonna
bullshit
run-
for Ireland,
Yeah.
ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen. I can
Yeah.
go on and on and on. I had 20 minutes of material, and I think
Yeah.
I ended up doing 45 or something.
Yeah, but it was just like, have you got any more? Have you got any more? They'd had it happen in the middle of a scene, and we'd always just run out of the line.
Well, you wouldn't have been able to see us either, Damon, was a big
Yes,
problem.
It might actually have been the start of our podcast career, if we'd have been stuck on stage with nothing to do. But you managed to get hold of a torch.
Yes.
So it's like you're standing with a torch, talking to the audience.
Lighting the bottom of it, but it is an old Victorian theatre where you can just project. You don't actually need amplification, so we were able to project.
That's right. And our agent David Hull was sort of concerned that he was thinking of big losses if the audience were all refunded, and he went, "Oh right, okay, so what will I do?" So the head guy come down from the opera house and said, "We have to evacuate." And he said, "Well, actually, I think it's a bit dangerous. It's very, very dark, and if we're trying to move people out, nobody can see what they're doing," which was actually fairly valid. But the second point was, it turned out that a emergency generator should have kicked in the opera house, and David was able to point this out, and that actually turned things around quite a bit. So
Yes,
we were allowed to continue.
Yes, but he's like the perfect businessman, because he's need to evacuate, need to get everyone out. Why? Health and safety. And he sort of looks at him, he just sort of, stares across at him and says, in the darkness, of course, and all you hear is the wee voice, are they not a lot safer sitting in their seats? Which was
And it was true.
and it's absolutely true.
Yeah.
It's better if they're, because there'd been chaos if you tried to evacuate.
Yeah, what about in the darkness and going into the snow?
falling and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
He was actually absolutely
He was
right.
right. He was right.
Yeah,
We've-
and then of course the other thing was they said, "Well, you need to cancel the show," and of course he gives the lawyer's
The
answer.
agent-
He says, "No, you need to cancel the show, right? Because he's thinking,
If I cancel the show, I owe
Yes.
500 people 25 quid.
If you cancel it, that's it. You owe me."
The other incident was last year, of course, when Paddy Jenkins went and fell downstairs, and Paddy Jenkins, who plays Pastor Begbie, rang me on a Tuesday morning, and we were supposed to be in Strabane, and he said, "Tim, how are you?" I said, "I'm all right, how are you?" He said, "Not great, to be honest with you. I'm in hospital." I go, "What?" And he'd broken his leg falling down the stairs at his... no drink was taken, by the way, this was early in the morning. He slipped.
Well,
on his-
Literally,
on his
it was
shoe.
literally the nightmare scenario where literally
A core actor.
Yeah.
But
What
actually, that is actually pales into significance. Back in our early days, I remind you, we were doing a show in the Elmwood Hall, which is just beside Queen's, and right at the end, I don't know why you did it, but you were playing Jerry Adams, and right at the end,
was playing
Ian Paisley was at it, and you decided to run off the stage and jump off the stage, whereupon you broke your leg.
That's true. That is
So
true.
you managed to break your leg. But the interesting thing about that was, after that, did you go to the hospital?
I did eventually.
But what did you do before that?
Well, I tried to get a couple of pints with him after the show. And my cousin, who happened to be a doctor, came back and said, "Can I have a look at your ankle there?" I go,
Yeah, as the size of an elephant.
You need to go to hospital. Oh, God, for fuck's sake. And that was in the days when A&E was only a couple of hours wait, not 3 days like it is now.
So you've practically literally broken a leg on stage?
We've broken a leg. Yeah, I broke a leg with Pastor Begbie last year, who broke his leg, and we had to cancel a show for the first time in about 25 years. We cancelled the show.
That's right.
And we brought in the brilliant Marty Maguire, who took up the reins and learnt Pastor Begbie's part in about 2 days.
That's right.
Or a day and a half. He did a day and a half, and was word perfect. And we had the whole run there last year, and he did brilliantly well. Brilliantly well.
We did once have an incident way back in old God's time, when I don't think it was quite even Give Me a Headpiece, but we were doing one of our earlier live shows somewhere out. It was at out the Coleraine University, I think it was. And we were in the dressing room at the half time, and this drunken student staggered in.
Right.
And he says, he managed to get into our dressing room, and he staggers in, and he sort of looks at us all up and down with contempt, like, and I go, what's up? And he goes, "I'm going on that fucking stage after the break." And I said, "Well, why?" He says, "Because I'm fucking funnier than you are." Right? And I says, "Okay, well, look, there's the stage, on you go, but I guarantee you're not, but go on anyway." What was his name? Paddy Keatley or something?
And he was funnier than us. No, he wasn't funnier than us.
No, he took one look at the stage, and he
He
took
backed
hold of
off.
it. He thought better of it, and he went back out.
But we do love the stage. We do love the live shows, and we've got to the stage now where we enjoy them. We relax. We got
I love the live
Olivia Nash is 82 years old and still on tour with us. She had 1 year she missed. You remember 1 year?
Yeah, she was in
out for a
hospital.
couple of
That's
days.
right. That's right.
But the show must go on. That's Tiernan. That's the thing in the comedy. The show must go on.
Yeah.
We've had a few annoying hecklers, but I deal with them very, very
Wittily.
wittily. I
Yeah.
tell them to fuck off. I can't stand heckling. I bring back kneecapping for hecklers. See the number of people who go to theatres and don't know how to behave now. It's
No, you see,
Yeah,
you actually should take a leaf out of Hitler's book.
Yes.
How he dealt with
Sorry,
hecklers.
I won't take a leaf
leaf
out
out
of
of
Hitler's.
Hitler's.
No. I mean, seriously, you'd be a lot happier
Seriously.
if they just took the hecklers out and beat the shit out of them. Like what they used to do in the Hitler rallies, you know.
Yeah, they won't do that in the Grand Opera, sadly. But no, I do. We love the live shows, and I do some stand-up and stuff as well. So yeah, Tiernan, we used to bring people up from the audience as well.
Oh, I
Remember,
do
we
that
used to
no
drag
more.
people up from the audience, and we've had a few incidents with that. But that was always good fun.
That was.
So Uncle Andy started to. We had to stop that when woke happened.
Yeah, that's right,
Uncle
yeah.
Andy used to sexually harass women on stage. No, I'm sure. No, it was all very innocent. It was all very, very innocent.
Yeah.
It was all good fun. Tiernan, thank you very much for that. I got a question on Twitter.
Yeah.
Somebody wants to know what our favourite episode is.
God.
I have a few favourite episodes. I really, really, really liked. Do you remember Saving Ryan's Daughter?
Yes.
The one where you ended up married to this Republican's daughter, senior Republican,
Yes.
and there was 32 Ryan brothers.
That's right.
There was 23 to be put.
Yeah,
23.
and they all come in on set. Yes.
Yeah.
And they all look the same.
They all looked the same. And they all had Irish names apart from Simon. There was that one. There were scenes that I really liked. One of my favourite episodes was Don't Go Up There.
Yes.
Remember Don't Go Up There?
Yep.
Where the great
great
actor-
John Hewitt, yes.
Great John Hewitt. And the story behind that one was that John Hewitt was an old Republican who was on the run. And he ended up in the attic at Divis Tower, and he ended up there so long that we forgot to tell him that there was a peace process, and that the RAD surrendered, and there was a Good Friday Agreement, and he was still up in the attic pretending that. And I used to go up and feed him, and pretend that the war was still going on, and then I had to go up and down, and there was a famous bucket of shite scene. Do you remember? The
Yes,
bucket
of course,
shite
yes.
scene?
Yeah,
Do you
yeah,
want
yeah.
to tell the people? About
It's
the
always funny. A bucket of shite's always going to be funny.
a
isn't it,
bucket
to
of
me?
shite is always
Yeah.
funny.
Yes, well, there's no toilet up there, you see, so
Yes.
you had to keep emptying. He kept giving you the bucket, and you had to go down and emptying.
Yeah.
But you used to empty it when people weren't there. But isn't it? You've got the bucket of shite sitting on the
table.
on the living room table, and Damon and Ma come in unexpectedly.
Yes.
And they go, "What's that?" There you go. That's mine. And you go off.
It was and you have to credit our wonderful props people, because it was a wonderful bucket of shit.
Oh, a
they
fantastic
did.
bucket
Because
of
I
shite.
slammed it down and it kind of slopped over
Yes.
the edges,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it looked disgusting, and it was disgusting.
Yeah.
And they came in and saw this bucket of shite and said, I think the line was, Ma said, I knew he was full of it. I just didn't think he had to show it. But that was the episode also in Downing Street, because
Yes, that's right.
Red Tim, the mad Republican, eventually came down
Yeah.
and was shocked to discover that there was a peace process on. And then
That's
you
right.
and me were invited to Downing Street, because every other shinner had been to Downing Street, and we went to Downing Street to meet
Yes.
Tony Blair.
Yeah, I got thrown out. Very
Didn't
quickly.
get to go to London, you'd be surprised to
Yeah.
know. We got to go to Joy Street at the
That's
back
right,
of the BBC.
The great Dennis Murray,
The great Dennis
who was
Murray.
Ireland correspondent at the time. He's in it as well, you know.
Yeah.
And of course, I got to do the Tony Blair impression,
Yeah.
which was great fun at the time.
And we got bucked out of Downing Street.
Yes, bucked out at Downing Street for insulting Sherry Blair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's that great line when he comes up, Cal comes up to the camera and goes, "See that Sherry Bear? She's a cheeky wee bitch."
Yeah.
That's a great line.
Of course, my favourite episode, of course, is the. I do have a number of favourites, but one of my big favourites is the tank.
The tank,
Episode,
yeah.
and it's for a number of reasons. I mean, at first, it's a great episode. It was a great concept. It was during the big decommissioning debate, and this old veteran
Yeah.
provo has been hiding this tank.
Yeah, but everybody
in his
ignored
shed.
him and insulted
Yes,
him all the
yeah.
time, and he never told anybody he had a tank.
Yeah, and he turns up with this tank in front of City Hall. But it's memorable for me because we actually filmed it on my birthday. I think it must have been it was one of the early episodes. It would have been like early.
I think it's third.
So it must have been my 34th or possibly
Ooh.
35th birthday, but I think it's an early one. And of course, the other reason I remember it was because Shardlow, our
Martin Shardlow.
Martin Shardlow was our first director, like who worked with us on it, on the first few series. Martin Shardlow, just to remind people, was a pretty hot director. He directed Blackadder and Only Fools and Horses and shows like that. And for some reason, he wanted to come and work with us on Give Me a Headpiece, and it was one of the Shardlow's big episodes as well. And I remember that we went for lunch and Martin got me a bottle of champagne and we sat having the bottle of champagne on
before the shoot.
during the shoot. Oh, you could drink during the shoot.
That's true.
And then we went back out and filmed the rest of it, and it was a really rainy day, as I remember. It was bucketed all day, but we had lots of fun making
we
it.
drove this tank right down
Yeah.
Royal Avenue, stuck it in front of City Hall.
Right in front of City
And
Hall.
part of the thing was that half the people in Belfast went, "Oh, there's a tank. Oh, yeah, all right." Anyway, we're going to Primark now.
Yeah, but I love the concluding line of it, where he goes, I'm handing over this tank, and it's at the end of this stupid, turgid debate about decommissioning. We finally got on with the peace process because I don't want to have to come back here with my other tank.
Favorite episode, Mike? What about Rome or New York?
Rome was great. New York was great fun because I did fuck all filming there and was able to wander around New York, so that was great. That's probably, in terms of a favorite episode, that was probably personal experience. Yeah, New York, because as I said, did fuck all. But I really for script reasons, I really loved Hollywood in the Falls because I think it all ties up really well. It's a script. It's a
Series 1.
A series 1 where a famous Hollywood actor is coming to play Jerry Adams, so he has to stay in Divis.
Hang on, this is very professional. Go away, I'm recording a podcast.
That's a BSNI. Look at you. So this guy's coming to play Jerry Adams, and he comes out, and of course, the Emer, who's our partner at that stage, goes head over heels for him, loves him, and thinks he's great. But there's this bit where every time he opens the door, all he hears is screaming. You see, so all the fans outside queued out, and but he comes into the flat. And as he opens the door, it goes, "Ah!" And I look straight in the camera and go, "And they said the police aren't popular."
He was the actor who was on cocaine, wasn't he?
Mitch Morgan, yeah.
Mitch Morgan. He was on cocaine, and poor Ma. Oh, that's right. He did all the demands. He arrived and said, "Look, I just want to be integrated in Belfast. just treat me like one of the family." And then he did this whole list of a writer of what he wanted
Evian
for
water and
his Evian water and stuff. And he said, "Is my bedroom en suite?" And we Olivia Monash Ma points at the sofa and goes, "No, that's a suite there, son."
So I just love that. I just like it, and it ties in so well.
Well, that episode.
And his Belfast accent as well.
Yes, he does the Belfast accent. Yeah.
Is this black hack going up the Falls Road or what?
Yeah,
But that episode is also famous for Tim's river dance.
of course,
performance.
that's right.
If you remember.
God, I forgot about that.
Yeah, you did. You actually did river dance.
I did do river dance.
Yes.
That
Would
was
you like
we were providing entertainment for.
Yes.
the
Would you like to
American-
recreate that for us?
Well, sadly, there isn't enough room. I don't think the cameras can.
Give us a second, Tim, and we can reorganise this.
Well, there's enough room here. Is there? Hang on a second. Yeah, I could. What was I wearing? I was wearing sort of tight an Irish
Michael
sweater.
Flatley, yes.
And Michael Flatley.
Yes,
yeah.
about Michael Flatley. Yeah.
And I did flounce in from the
yes.
kitchen.
Yes, indeed.
Let's see if I could do that.
He's going to fall over.
No, I ran in from the kitchen. We were entertaining.
You and Ma ran in from the kitchen doing
Ma,
that.
yeah,
That's
Ma
right, Ma
was
was there.
me and
Yeah,
Olivia.
yeah. She's Jean Buck. And
I ran on
That's enough, Tim. Enough.
It was probably not as good as that.
I was going to say that was better than I remember.
Yeah. That was a great episode. I love that episode.
That was another favourite of the early ones were all very good. The bonfire of the insanity.
Yeah,
so
that's
Red Hand Luke, where Red Hand Luke wants to build the biggest bonfire in the world so that it's visible from space.
Yeah.
Yes.
And wee Sammy the barman.
Which you've now achieved in Lauren. Actually.
Wee Sammy the barman has a. Do you remember that he had? He was making things out of matchsticks.
Matchstick, yeah.
He made a matchstick stormont. Had spent years making a matchstick stormont.
That's it. Yeah.
And Red Hand Luke was building this massive bonfire and was stealing furniture and everything and all of that, and eventually took his matchstick stormont and bucked it onto his bonfire. And he wanted to make a bonfire. Why did he want to make the bonfire? He wanted to be visible from space. The aliens.
The aliens.
He said the aliens were going to
because
come
there was
down.
a Menelium was happening,
Yes.
and the aliens were coming.
Yes. And of course, the aliens do see it,
Of course they do.
and they come down to visit him, but
They're
Terrible
Catholics.
news.
they're Catholics. Singing on me, Maria.
Who'd have thought? Who'd have thought that would be the punchline?
But yeah, we've had a lot of. We put an orange march past St Patrick's Cathedral in New York.
Oh, we did indeed. That was good. Yeah.
Big Mervyn and Uncle Andy were marching past.
Yeah.
Yep,
New
that was
York.
quite a few of the poor Americans took it seriously as well. Thought there actually was an orange
Yeah.
march going down past St Patrick's.
Yeah, I remember being in New York, and the Americans didn't really get it. Didn't really under. They were lovely people, lovely crew, and all of that. But I remember being in the hotel and trying to explain to this woman that we were over from BBC Northern Ireland to do a program called "Give My Head Peace," and she just stopped and went, "Give who head?" No, it's not that sort
No,
of
it's
show.
not that kind of film. No, but it was a moment of glory though, because we were in a central hotel, in the middle of Manhattan, and of course when you're there, the fascinating thing about it was we were there doing our bit, but they were making movies.
Yeah.
It's constantly going on, and Nicolas Cage was making a movie around the corner from where we were doing our shoot.
Yeah.
And their crew were all in the same hotel as us. But then these couple of busloads arrived, and they must have been over from Belfast. And they all came swarming round us, looking for our autograph and stuff. And all these guys working with Nicolas Cage are going, the whole and the who gang? Who are those guys?
Yeah, how many episodes have we done now? I can't
I
really
don't know.
remember.
We're in the-
There are bits I forget. Oh, by the way, there are about 22 episodes online if you want to see them on the BBC iPlayer.
That's
I've
right,
put up
that's right.
Quite a load of them, including the Christmas episode this year and 22 old ones, and 2 ceasefires and a wedding
Oh, right, okay.
is on as well.
Right.
Which bizarrely I watched the other night because I haven't seen it in about 25 years, and it's still pretty good.
Is it all right?
Yeah, it's all right.
Oh, okay.
God, we look thin and young.
I know. Don't.
Look, that's why I prefer watching the old ones. Because, I used to actually quite like watching myself. I used to
Yeah.
on TV and go, not bad, But no, I just don't. Who is that fat, baldy? Because it's not me. Because you don't
Yeah.
see yourself, until you see yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I definitely prefer watching the older
We
ones.
should maybe ask the audience what their favourite episodes are, and maybe do a live show where we could take an old script and read
That's
it.
true.
We should do
That's
that
true.
because we did that in Stormont once. Remember, we read a couple of old episodes.
We read 2 ceasefires. We didn't do.
Read 2 ceasefires and read a couple of old episodes
Yeah.
because there's ones that we just forget.
I
you
just
know.
have no idea.
There was the one with you, the advertising agents. Remember the advertising one?
Yes.
I really liked that one.
Yeah, it was a good one. Yeah.
The weird thing about New York was you dancing again, Tim. You made it.
Oh, that's right.
Oh.
Yes.
I don't dance and I don't sing. So
You were doing
in
it on
New
the
York
town.
episode, they made me dance and sing at the same time
we
on the
were
Brooklyn Bridge.
recreating on the town.
Yes.
And on the Brooklyn Bridge. You guys were dressed in the
Bronx
sailors.
is up and the batteries
Yeah,
down.
the Bronx is up and the batteries down. The old Frank
people
Sinatra,
riding
Gene
along the
Kelly
ground.
thing. Yeah.
And so the dance is, I don't know, dance is, the
Bronx
Bronx is up and the battery's down, the people riding on the ground. So this was played through, you can hear it, like the tune is played for it, and Tim would go, the Bronx is up and the battery's down, the people riding in a hole in the ground. It was one of the worst dance routines I've ever seen.
Yeah, I was on the Brooklyn Bridge
That's right.
trying to do this, and I had an earpiece in, so the cameras were away about half a mile away, and going, right, go action, and I'd get it wrong every time.
But sure,
And then one time the earpiece fell out, and I stopped,
Right down.
and fell down, probably hit somebody's car down.
Probably sliced somebody in half. But Shardlow, the director, at one stage he couldn't even go. He was on the floor.
That's right, laughing.
He just couldn't get up off the floor. He was laughing at the.
At my performance,
Yeah, it was just.
and that wasn't in a way that it was deliberately funny.
He turned around to me and he said, it's not going to get any better, Michael, is it? I said, no, it's not. That's the best thing you got there.
So don't make me dance. I can't dance.
that's what's funny.
Don't dance. Don't ask me.
It's part of the fun of it.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
that's the other thing. When we did that recent one, Belfast, which is on the iPlayer one, the Belfast one, Tim had to sing "Open Up Your Eyes." Was it?
Oh yes. Oh yes.
I was Jimmy Dornan singing.
Yes.
Everlasting Love. That's it. Oh my god. And when it sang it, and he had to sing it for real. And oh god, it was so bad in the edit. I went, we can't broadcast that. I didn't even know what he's singing. So we had to get Paddy Jenkins in to sing you.
Well, after 30 years, did you what gave you the clue that I couldn't sing? Was it the fact that I can't sing?
It's the fact that it's out of tune. It's out of time.
Oh yeah, time.
It's just wrong and all. Brilliant.
To be fair, on
Yeah.
the night he went with it. He went for it with
Just
gusto.
went-
Yeah.
He was a complete professional
Yes.
from the start to the finish.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember all the extras all dancing. They were all sort of going, "Is this right? You know, is this right?" You know, everyone, yes, it's fine. He knows what he's doing.
That
Just dance.
That episode is also worth watching. The Belfast, where we take the piss out of the Kenny Branagh's Belfast for Ali Ford's brilliant,
Oh, yes, that's
brilliant piss take of Dame Judi Dench trying to do a Belfast
Yes.
accent is worth it for that alone little
Yeah,
clip
true,
alone.
true.
It's a brilliant performance, and
No, it's like that episode came out of the stage show as well, which was great. You know, but it became one of the iconic episodes that
The
Belfast
Belfast
one, and it came out if we actually went to see the film.
yes, because I made you see the
Yes,
film. I
but
wouldn't
we
have-
better go and see this film because
Wanna
you
write
know
anything about it?
it's the thing. You know, we're doing the stage show and. Oh God, what was it like? I remember we were just sitting through this film, and it got to the bit with the baseball bat, and you know, the baseball ball,
Yeah.
and the whole final end of all that there happened, and
Buddy.
I was about to get up, and then I realised, you know, I thought this is it, it's over. I was about to get up, like you know, I was groaning and getting up off the seat, and then I suddenly realised, oh no. There's another half an hour here because Kieran Hines has to die. I forgot that the old granda was going to die. We got to sit here now for another half an hour through this. God, it was dreadful.
So, if Kenny Branagh's available for the podcast, you're very welcome to join us, and we'll give you a critique of Belfast.
Yeah, I'd love to. Love to.
But
Love
yeah,
your work apart from that.
but apart from that one, yeah,
Yeah.
conspiracy we love. So there's lots of good episodes. We should maybe do that. Actually, take a couple of episodes and read them live and see what they say. What I like, I'm genuine. I mean, we've done 100 odd episodes,
I'd
and
say
there are
at least,
ones you
yeah.
forget. But every single episode, there's something you go, Jesus, that's funny.
Yeah, there's
pretty
always,
good.
usually there's a belter in there.
There's
somewhere.
usually a belter somewhere.
Well, Marty Reed's Dracula. I mean,
Marty Reed is
Marty Reed is Dracula, like the Gary Oldman Dracula. You know.
Oh, yes,
you
yes,
know,
yeah.
the Coppola film. Like,
Yeah.
I mean.
Oh, that was the
Yes.
Oh, that was a great episode. Sorry, that
Yeah.
was Ma had
Yes.
had 150 statues,
Yes.
and I broke the statue of Saint Fingal or something.
Yeah.
And brought a curse on me,
Yes.
and everywhere I went.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the one where we're out in the street, and it was a lovely sunny day,
And
and
we
then
released a
suddenly
storm
there was a
as well.
rainstorm just above me, and the
Yeah.
rest of the street was completely.
And we had the big propeller at the top of the street, you know,
Yeah.
big aircraft propeller.
Yeah,
and created the whole like storm in the middle of the street, like, and you let it go on for a bit longer than you should.
I
have.
did. Because it was so funny.
Yeah. But Marty Reed he recreated Gary Oldman's Dracula perfectly.
Yeah, he was
Like
very good.
he was absolutely superb in it. Like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Anything else, Dan?
So Richie in New York, but originally from Belfast, wants to know, has Jerry Adams ever spoken to any of you about how he's portrayed in the show?
Oh, Jerry. I've met Jerry a couple of times. I get the impression Jerry's not a fan. We met Martin McGuinness and Ian Paisley. We met Martin McGuinness a few times.
Yeah.
And Martin
right.
was portrayed on the show
And
at
Jerry
least
was as well,
once.
yeah.
And Martin at least had a decent sense of humour.
Yeah.
Martin kind of went because there was was that Ryan Brothers episode?
Wedding
right.
scene, yeah.
The wedding scene where we had Jerry and Martin turned up, and
At the- the
because
we-
they
at
had
the
to turn
wedding,
up.
that's
For
right.
This was a proper South Armagh provo who was very high up. So Martin and Jerry had to turn up at the wedding, and then we met him afterwards at something, and he said the food at that wedding wasn't very good. Which means that he watched it and he liked
Brilliant
it.
Derry accent there you were doing.
That was. Did you like?
Brilliant Derry accent. I think you're being a bit hard on Jerry. I don't
Yeah,
get
so-
that impression of Jerry at all.
You
I've
know?
met him a few times. Well, I've known him. You know, I'm from West Belfast, so
Right.
all those guys. You know, but No, I don't get the impression that.
Do you think he
Jerry's-
likes it?
Yeah, he's always very friendly to me, and
Right.
I mean, he actually was doing a book signing once, and I asked him to sign one to Uncle Andy, and he filled it in.
Right.
To Uncle Andy from Jerry. So there you go.
Right.
You know, so.
Well, Paisley, like we always used to get a wide variety of politicians coming to the show. Remember the BBC used to have corporate nights, and people you wouldn't expect to be fans of Give Me Head Peace would turn up. Like Cedric Wilson, do you remember Cedric?
Cedric Wilson, yes,
Cedric
good
Wilson,
sense of humour, yes,
arch-unionist,
yes,
and you know, serial protester, big fan.
That's
you
right.
know.
And then, of course, and I think I might have the photo still, but I think if you remember, those of us of a certain vintage will remember Andy Terry head of the UDA, and he was in the Opera House and insisted on getting a photograph with Uncle Andy.
Was that right?
Yeah, insisted on it.
Well,
Uncle
apparently he didn't like Uncle Andy at the start.
Is that right?
He felt it was a bit. Yeah, he was a bit put out bad at the start
because it looked like him.
Yeah, the dark glasses and the
it
greasy.
grew on him. It grew on him, and he eventually started to embrace it. You know,
Right.
and then he ended up getting a photograph.
Yeah.
But Paisley, we met a few times. If you
Yes.
remember, that's senior Ian Senior.
Yeah.
The late Mr. Paisley. But he remember he got into the lift with us once in the BBC. And we were there with Robin Walsh. He was controller of the BBC at the time. We were doing Perforated.
That's right.
And he nudges Paisley and he says, "There's the hole in the wall, gang. They're going to sort you out. They're going to sort you out tonight." Like, and Paisley nudged me and says, "Oh no, be kind to me tonight, boys." That's how he put it, you know. So he was a kind of a fan.
Yeah, no, I think the politicians kind of liked it. Well, I think they realised how popular it was.
Yeah, they had to like it kind of thing.
Yeah. Remember we knew it was doing well when a very senior Republican told us a story about there was an episode where Uncle Andy was being chased by Red Hand Luke. And
that's
Red
right.
Hand Luke was going to kill Uncle Andy.
That's right.
And his 8-year-old son, this senior Republic 8-year-old son, was watching it but fell asleep in the middle of the episode and had to be put to bed.
Oh, yeah.
We woke him up in the middle of the night and shook him awake and said, Daddy, is Uncle Andy okay? Is Uncle Andy okay? And he said, what have you guys done? He said, I'm a senior Republican going, and now my son is worried about this loyalist bigot. Is he okay? Is he going to be all right? So yeah, we annoyed the politicians. Maybe we haven't annoyed them too much. Maybe that's where we're going wrong.
Maybe it is. Actually, yeah.
I think they have to say they like it as well. I mean, you're gonna like it was like Spitting Image. I mean, they couldn't all say they hated Spitting Image.
Yeah.
They all had to pretend that they liked their puppet, you know, even though they probably didn't. You know.
Well, we were able to go wherever we wanted and do the stage shows wherever, and we never had any hassle in any particular area, you know. So I think most people went, you're right, that's what them Republicans are like, you know. You got them down to a team, mate, haven't you?
Well, we knew that. I mean that was kind of that was why the show worked, because it humanised the other side.
Yeah.
So, and that's because I mean the BBC used to be very security conscious when you were out filming in the streets. You know, that you had to be careful what area you were in and all of that, and you couldn't go into and we used to. I mean, I knew that. I remember one time we were out filming, we were doing some sort of, I can't remember what the scene was, but it's Dad and Cal and they're walking down a street, but we were filming in a loyalist area, and people come out of their houses, and but they wanted to come out to get autographs, and they wanted to come out and get photographs, and they were all, you know, and when you think about it, like this is like a Protestant loyalist area, but these are two sinners, ostensibly two sinners,
and it's quite
but
early on,
and it's pretty early on,
Yeah.
and that was when you sort of knew that things were working with the show, because like the BBC would have been, there's no way that you're going in there to film that, you know, because back in the days when they were doing their dramas, you know, their intense, troublesy dramas, like they would, oh no, you can't go in there, you know, that area, because, you know, if you're portraying Republicans in that area, you'll start a riot, whereas we actually, you know, we were able to go in there anyway.
Brought people together.
We did get bricked. We did get bricked when we were doing TC's for
but that was a bunch of kids when we were doing TC's fairs.
That was a bit of crack. That wasn't.
I tell you who one of them was, Manuel the Barn.
I know. Maybe we shouldn't say that. We were filming.
We had a fake RUC Land Rover.
Yeah, so it's made of plywood. It's a complete vanity. It's not obviously not armored, and
But some kids decided to throw stones at it.
Well, first they said, because we were pretending to be Brits as well at the time,
Yes.
British soldiers, and they said, "That's Brits, let's stone them." And
Yeah.
our line manager went, "Oh, no, they're not Brits, they're just acting." And I went, "We're going to stone them anyway."
Yeah, yeah. It was all, Mister, are they really Brits? No, the records. Mister, can we stone them anyway? Which they then did. But then one of them who was stoning us, one of the youngsters who was stoning us, ended up one of our mates. Ended up our barman.
Oh, there you go.
So that's how he says, "I remember you. Yeah,
Well,
I
that's
bricked
good.
you.
Well,
I bricked you when you were filming in the New Lodge."
Well, because we managed to not give him a criminal record. That's why. We let him off. So could have prosecuted.
Speaking of which, I got a question on Twitter from somebody who wants to know about filming and stuff. Is the story Jake O'Kane tells true? And Jake tells his story in the stand-up about us filming in the New Lodge at a grotto, grotto
yes.
to the Virgin Mary, which he didn't allow us to tell on the podcast when he was on, but it's absolutely true. Do you want to tell the story about? We're filming. Da and Carl are at a holy grotto.
The storyline involves
and then Mervyn and Uncle Andy turn up.
Yes, yes. Money is hidden in this statue of the Virgin Mary, but
Right.
that's the plot. But we have this statue in the middle of the scene, and we're filming there. And these women turn up who claim to be from the Legion of Mary, and they say, we're very upset that you're portraying this and you're taking a piss out of
and
our
we wanted
faith,
to stop
our
to stop the filming,
our
and
echo.
we're going to see about it and all that. And we have a
yeah.
fixer who fixes most of these things and organises a location, but we didn't plan on the Legion of Mary turning up.
So we're getting a
We've
bit
annoyed the
concerned.
Legion of Mary.
Yeah. And people start disappearing. Everyone starts disappearing. So we're about to step in, and so it's all like about the film's about to be ground to a halt. I'm going send for the location manager. We got a potential problem here, right? All of that, and then
It turns out it was fucking Jake O'Kane who works in the New Lodge, had heard we were filming and had sent 2 women down to wind us up.
But they kept it going for.
They were really good.
Yeah.
They were really good.
It was,
on-
God, you Jake O'Kane sent us.
They were.
Cheeky bastard, I need to get him back. Any other questions, Dan?
Yeah, Darren wants to know, we know Ma and Dad live in Divis Flats, but was it ever said where Uncle Andy and Billy live? He says looks like somewhere on Donegal Road.
Well, we were always very vague about that, weren't we? I think one stage we said he lived in Sandy Road, then he lived in the Donegal Road, then he lived in East Belfast, then he lived
kind of
in...
left it. He's kind of sat in East Belfast for quite a while now.
Yeah.
So
It's same with the knee breakers. People ask where the knee
where
breakers...
is the knee breakers?
I think ostensibly it's somewhere in East Belfast. Was it?
Is
not?
it East
was
Belfast?
Was the original idea? Was it not?
But most of the filming was done around the Holy Land.
Never
wasn't it?
specific about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's the real Uncle. Well, the Uncle Andy front house was in the Holy Land somewhere.
Right.
Because we used to always.
I don't know why we
students
fixated on.
every
I
year.
don't know why we fixated on Devastator. Why that was.
I think because it was such an iconic thing. I mean, it's still
just
there. I
became
mean,
a
it's
thing,
just
yeah.
it was like.
And the sad, the sad thing is, the guy who designed the set actually recreated the inside of Devastator instead of going, you know what, that's a really awkward way to film that. It's not the easiest thing to film on a set. So,
No.
but he created, but he actually went completely.
He created the outer door and the
hallway.
the hallway, which like what you don't
Completely
need that.
useless.
Yes, completely useless
useless.
on a TV set. Yes.
So yeah. But he was very into his verisimilitude.
Yes.
Was Andy?
Well, he was used to doing dramas. You see, where you recreate.
Yeah.
Exactly as it
Well,
is.
I think about a little detour for Andy Johnson, designer, has given me some of the biggest laughs. But Andy was very literal about things. So basically, there was one episode where we were recreating Planet of the Apes, only it's Carson's statue.
Yes.
And we had.
Yeah, just go with it, Dan.
Just go
Yeah,
with-
instead of the Statue of Liberty,
Yes,
it was Carson's
statue,
statue. The
right?
world had ended.
The world had ended, and Uncle Andy and BJ, Big Moran are walking along the beach in these kind of animal skins.
Yes.
And
No, we're
then-
doing Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, Planet of the Apes.
Planet of the
Planet of the
Apes.
Apes. Spoof on
Only
Planet of the Apes.
instead of the Statue of Liberty, it's Carson's statue
statue
just
in
to
the
give-
sand, right?
It was Planet of the Fenians. I
Yes,
remember.
so in Uncle Andy's,
Planet of the Fenians,
in Uncle Andy's world, this is the end of the earth. Like, this is, civilization has come down.
Because it's
Yes.
So he sees the statue. So we had to recreate the shot. And there's a shot in the original where the camera goes around this torch. You kind of get a shot around the torch, and it comes in and you see Charlton Heston. So I wanted to recreate this shot. So I said, we need a hand, and we need to come around the hand. So it's Carson's hand. So that's fine. And Andy decided to build a full-scale bronze Carson's hand. Now, I'm talking full scale, so this thing's the size of this table, and it's bronze, right? So
it takes 10 men to bring it down to the beach.
To bring it to the beach, has to put it on a big scaffold, and this thing's like in the wind, and the guys are it's totally unstable. And I remember me and Jim Craig, fantastic cameraman, and we said, Andy, it could have been this size. It could have been that size. It's perspective. It could have been an Action Man hand. You know what I mean? You didn't need that. And it just put me, every time something like that happened, I just went into kinks. Because I just thought, why did you create a bronze hand? Like,
Andy's a very good designer.
He's a nice
has to
guy.
be said.
He's a nice guy. He's a nice guy.
Took his work
He took it very, very seriously. But
I was loved the show.
I did love the show, but no sense of perspective, which is a bit odd. Which is odd for somebody who's into art, like you studied at the art college. Perspective. Oh goodness me!
A lot of people are asking online about Red Hand Luke. Who's your favourite character?
Yeah.
And is he coming back or anything like that? Dan, we worked with for several years.
Yeah.
Dan was unavailable for lots of series and stuff. But
Yeah.
we had Dan back.
We did have Dan back, yes.
We have had Dan back, and he has said that he would come back.
We'll have to get him on the podcast.
Yes,
Yeah.
No, he says he would come back. It's just he's a victim of his own success.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he's doing. I mean, I don't know if you saw his Frank Carson was absolutely
Oh,
brilliant.
yeah.
A great show.
Yeah.
You know, and he's just always busy these days, isn't he?
And so we'll get him on the post. People are all asking Uncle Andy why is he not in the stage show, and basically Uncle Andy's not in the stage show because he has a full-time proper job, and he's a very senior person in a very senior organisation, and he can't get away for a month and a half because it takes about a month and a half out of your life to do the stage.
He's earning too much money. Just tell the
All
truth.
right,
he's earning too much money. Doing other things. You know, he doesn't have to get into a bus to go to Cookstown.
Yes, he doesn't need to get in a bus to go to Japan.
Whereas even if I was rich, I'd still love to go.
Yeah. Would you really, Damon? Would you really, Damon?
Actually,
Oh, you lying bastard!
I don't know. I think they love just sitting with the guy driving them back on a bus, and they're drinking away,
Having a
and
bottle of wine.
and the guy who's driving the bus is going, "They're going to spill this wine. They're going to spill it all over my upholstery."
Rock and roll lifestyle.
The rock and roll lifestyle.
No, I enjoy the tour. I enjoy
Do
going
you?
around the week.
You didn't used to.
No, I always enjoyed it.
He just didn't show it.
You always enjoyed
I
it.
do.
All
I
right,
enjoy
well,
it too.
let's-
Actually,
let's
I
not-
agree.
Yeah, and I enjoy going into the local pubs and stuff and chat to the locals.
Not the
and stuff
acting,
like
obviously.
Not the performing on stage, you know, to the people.
Never mind that. Like,
Not that old nonsense.
that. No, but it's good to know the local audiences as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all part of it.
Yeah. Well, Uncle Andy he'll be in the next, we're doing the Christmas special next year. He'll definitely be in that. He's in Perforated Ulster, which is coming out in May or June. I can't remember.
May, I think May.
He's still in
May,
that
May.
as well. So he's very lucky he doesn't have to do the stage.
Yeah.
We can't persuade him, which is unfortunate, but we'll get him on the podcast someday. He's a
but you
bit
do. I mean,
reluctant.
we were conscious that he's a great performer. But I mean, we have Kieran Nolan and Paddy Jenkins who really do compliment. You know, they have been absolutely brilliant into the stage show. So
Yeah.
so brings a new vitality to it, I think.
Yeah, Kieran in particular has been a great addition, hasn't he?
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
Paddy's always been brilliant, you know,
Yeah.
but Kieran's been really good. So we will have him on the pod as well. So
Yeah, that'd be good actually. Yeah.
Yeah. What else have we got there, Dan? What was
David wants to know, do you each have a favourite character to write for?
Oh, that's interesting because some people would say, do you agree with this, boys, that it's easier to write the loyalists than it is the Republicans?
But prods are funnier.
Yeah.
Prods always were funnier.
Yeah. I think the shift has been because, but originally a lot of the stuff that we were doing for the Sinn Féin side of the house was it was a very mocking of Sinn Féin because of the kind of way they were getting themselves tangled up.
It was
in the rhetoric.
the satire was more in the Sinn Féin stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Much more
Whereas the
satirical.
slapstick and the fun
having had their
and the
war, now
silliness.
going all political
And
and
good
peace and
peacenik,
recognition.
yeah.
The slapstick and the fun and the silliness was always in the prods area.
Yeah.
With the in the Fenian end of the house,
Yeah.
stroke Republican Catholic side,
They're
it was
getting-
always the satire but which was maybe not as. I mean, it's maybe cleverer, but not as funny.
Possibly.
Visually, and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
Possibly. So I think now that's been a shift. I mean, there has been. What's actually interesting from writing it is that the Shinner, the Divis side of the house is getting more in that way of going, much more slapsticky, much more kind of fun to sort of standard stories. You know, the whole. I mean, we didn't really play up the mad hate each other.
Yeah.
That's really developed as life has gone on. I mean, she never really loved you or anything, but clearly it's turned into a complete antagonism now, which hadn't really been there before.
Till death us do part
on
on acid, as it is now.
That is a totally new dimension. I think that was to create more characterization for them, because as the satire, as you say, died down. But Loyalists, Uncle Andy's easiest to write for, easily.
Well, it's interesting because we normally the process is we get a plot. And the dialogue, once you have the plot, the dialogue is usually pretty quick and then fairly
Yes, but
easy.
you do actually find yourself going into Uncle Andy's voice.
Yes, we write in his voice.
Yeah, you start going, excuse me. I think you find. So, I think, once the plot's there, it's the dialogue.
The jokes kind of flow fairly quickly. Quickly. I always like writing for Olivia. Olivia's good fun to write for.
Yeah.
She's just nice and easy. And we put that poor woman through hell, haven't we?
We have, yeah.
She's been a real.
Yeah.
We stretched her in a rack. We put her in a room full of birds. That she's paranoid fear of birds.
Yeah.
Done everything to that poor woman.
Yes, Hitchcocky in that one. Put her in that room with all those turkeys. Yes.
But I mean, it's once we get a plot. I mean, we can write an episode in about a week or so.
Yeah. But yes, this kind of spark between Uncle Andy and Begbie is really good, because it's just.
I think one of the I think one of the other clever moves we made was making Dimpna an MLA, which was a good move there, because it kind of reflected the way things were going in Sinn Féin. But I love the fact that Dimpna's an MLA, but has absolutely no interest whatsoever in politics.
Doesn't know where Stormont is.
What's that?
Collected her pay for 5 years or 3 years,
but absolutely no interest in politics whatsoever. Yes.
Yeah, that was a good move, and a good move was as well when we very early on when we desectarianized Billy. We didn't really have Billy as a sectarian cop. He was just a lazy bastard. He was only interested in the money and the overtime and stuff like that, wasn't he?
Yeah, well, that's his character. I mean, it's like.
But you were instrumental in the creation of Billy, because these were the guys you went to school with.
Well, I'm going to now label lots of my school. No, but there was an element in school where it's Thatcher. There's not a lot of work going around, and if you're going to stay here, where do you go? And I'm not saying they were dropouts, but basically they maybe hadn't done as academically as well as they wanted to, and there wasn't that big academic thing as much. I mean, Protestant middle class probably yes, but below that probably not as much to achieve that there was in the Catholic community. And I think a lot of guys were looking around going, where's the work? And I don't think they didn't join the RUC. I don't think most people didn't join the RUC. I don't think for ideological reasons. I think by the 80s, especially when it was, you could get killed. I think a lot of them joined because there was money there. And
but if you were a thick prod, you joined the RUC. Is that
no? I think that's going too far. I'm trying to,
Yeah.
I think trying to be fair here. I think a lot of people there was limited job opportunities, and I think a lot of people went into that. That was the way to go. But a lot of them weren't terribly. There wasn't some this. I never really bought into the whole 100% sectarian, 100% orange. I don't think that's a close calumny. I think there probably were people who were. I'm not saying there weren't bigots in the RUC and stuff, but I think a lot of it was over.
But it was interesting even after the second series, the RUC were collaborating with us, and they give us uniforms and they give us their stations and stuff like that.
Because you found that the ones you spoke to a lot of cops who said that we'd got Billy fairly much right.
That's not all the cops are like that, and also we're very. I mean, again, you were talking about the thing about humanising. A lot of people thought that it was great because the PSNI were being sort of made human. And they quite like that. And I remember one time, one of the big issues we had was when the RUC was going to become the PSNI. And the big problem was getting the uniform. Nobody knew what the uniform was going to be like. As it turned out, it was pretty similar, actually. But at the time, nobody knew. And we were filming, but by the time our thing was due to broadcast, they would have shifted over to PSNI. So we needed the PSNI uniform. Couldn't get one. And I was in the pub. And these two guys told me, "Oh, you're Billy," and I said, "Oh," I said, "Yeah." I said, "Any issues?" And I said, "Well, do you know the funny thing is, now you mention it, can't get a PSNI uniform, can't for love for money." And these two guys turned and said, "You want a PSNI uniform? I'll see you tomorrow." And they dropped the brand new uniform to the bag of black stuff.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember.
And I'm
that.
still wearing
I
it.
remember that day.
See, I've kept trim, ladies and gentlemen. I've kept trim and fits, unlike these two. So yes, they dropped it right. And the story goes that this could be complete. It could be complete bullshit. But the story was the BBC was filming the New Musical Awards at the same time,
Right.
and they were doing this big thing. And of course, there was a lot of kind of illegal substances about in the studio, put it that way, in the dressing rooms. And story goes
music
that-
awards,
yeah, the music awards. And apparently, funny enough, what happened was that the cop car pulled up, and a phone call went from the security guards to the studio saying the cops have come out. So they thought it was a raid. So apparently, about millions of pounds of drugs went down the toilet.
In order to deliver our uniforms.
Yeah, that's it. So, good story. Anyway, I'd like to believe it's true.
How are we doing for time?
One more question.
Yeah, we'll take one more question, absolutely.
Kevin wants to know whatever happened to the video that was recorded for the theme tune. He was at a show at the Limelight, and the Saw Doctors played 2 or 3 times to get the video.
wow.
That's right.
The Saw Doctors. We did a video with the Saw
That's right. That
Doctors,
should
didn't
still
we?
be there, yeah. And it'll still be online somewhere. Should be
I
able to
think
find
there's it's not anything other than there's licensing issues around
Oh,
it because
right,
it's
yeah.
owned by the Saw Doctors and
the BBC.
the BBC. It was a funny license done when it was originally
We had nothing to do with it. Just nothing to do with
back in
us.
the days before
We were in a video, though, weren't we?
Yeah,
we were in the
yeah.
video with
Yeah,
them,
yeah.
yes, but it was licensed to the BBC, but it was not licensed for live performance.
Right.
So we can't actually use it in our. That's why we don't have it in our
stage
stage
shows,
shows.
right, that's
You
right.
come to the stage shows. you
Brilliant
can't-
theme tune, if I say so myself.
Yeah,
I missed out
brilliant.
on going
Yes, yeah.
down to meet the boys. You went down to.
Oh, that was brilliant.
Where
Yeah.
are they from?
Yeah, it was great. I got a
Chum.
Sure. Yeah.
And you met the boys and had a few,
I met the boys.
a couple of lemonades to
I
discuss.
met the boys
Yeah.
and Chum, yes, and we went to their Wee Wee studio, and
that's
they
right.
were, and we actually heard it first. This is what we're thinking about. She says and I says.
Yeah, amazing.
I mean, and we were going, that's brilliant. Yeah, that's perfect. I mean, it didn't take them long to come up with the thing, but it's actually quite a jaunty
great
wee
song.
Oh, it's a great song.
Why don't you give my head some? And we just heard it, just there and then we went and had. We went and had a few
Minerals.
sherbets with the Saw Doctors. In fact, it was a good old night.
Well, it was good all night until Damon managed to fracture my rib. But apart from that,
Oh,
it
right.
was we were staying, and there was no actual accommodation. That's not saying there was accommodation, but it was
You
kind
didn't
of like
go to it because you were pissed.
well, it was kind of like a bed and breakfasty kind of place, and there were the rooms were at the top of this big stone staircase. And we'd had quite a few minerals. And Damon said, gotcha, but forgot the gotcha bit. So I went flying down the stairs, and I thought at the one point I thought, oh fuck, has he fractured my spine here? What's he done? But actually, it was a fractured rib, which I still have today.
Oh,
That's why you see Billy could have been in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
We could have been ahead on the disability thing way before.
Yeah,
yeah,
not really great.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's paralysed, but he's good for our disability figures, So
It should be something. I mean, that's probably the wrong story to tell, but I'll tell it anyway. We were in Tuam that time. It was early. When was that? Would have been late. Late 90s. Was it? Well, I don't know. It was the Irish.
97.
It was the Irish. It was the year that the Irish presidential. It was the year that Mary McAleese won.
Right.
And we were in Tuam, and we were in this bar, and there was this old fella, and he was sitting gurning. He was just not happy, and he's crying and stuff and upset. And I went up to him and I says, and he was drunk as well, of course. But I said to him, "Look, is everything okay? Is there anything wrong?" And he kept pointing up at that graveyard and saying, "The children up there, they're all dead. The children are all dead." And I went, "What are you talking about? The children are the children. They killed the children. They're all dead." And I said to the barman, "Like this old gent's very upset and just don't listen to him. He talks like that all the time. He talks like that all the time. Don't listen to him. He's talking nonsense. Don't listen to him." And I said, "No, but he looks genuinely upset." And sort of concerned about him, and they kept telling me, leave him alone. He does that all the time. And years later, what comes out? The story about the Tuam.
Babies. That's right.
baby, you know, which
Keep it
was
light there,
I know,
Damon.
I know. Thanks for that.
but no, just
But that's where you met the saw doctors and
that was the time we met the soldier, and I say the
Broken rib.
yeah,
Chewing babies, you know.
and he was telling me about the chewing babies,
Well.
and it didn't come out until years later.
Well.
You know that he
was right.
He was right. He was right. Yeah.
I blame the saw doctors for people keeping the name of our show wrong, by the way. It's
Give
not
my head
Give my head some
some
piece.
piece.
There's no some. It's just Give my head piece.
I know,
but
sure,
you know,
that's one of those things.
It has to rhyme.
You know, he never said.
Has to rhyme.
You know, he never said "play it again, Sam."
No, he
Like,
never did,
You
you know.
know,
And it's-
never said it.
And it's
He
Pastor
said-
Begbie, not Begley. All right?
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
Begley.
it's all part of the fun.
It's all part of the fun. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for this special episode of the Give My Head podcast. Subscribe below. Look at all the other previous episodes. There's 20 episodes. There are lots of important people on there and fun people. We will maybe do that again because that went very quickly and we only answered about half a dozen questions there. Thank you very much. We'll be back very soon. Thank you for listening to the Give My Head podcast.
Cheers.
Cheers.